Dithda. In this video recipe, we're going to share one of our family's favorite cultural recipes, the Cornish pasty. Pasties are not only a traditional dish from Cornwall, England, but it has a unique history and literally its own fairy tale. Cornwall is the region of England way down in the southwest. The people there are descended from the Celts, which means they share a culture more in common with Ireland, Scotland, and Wales than with England. And like the rest of the Celtic people, they have a strong belief in their folk tales, and in particular, the fairies. The Cornish have tales about giants, like Jack and the Beanstalk, and other stories about fairies in the countryside called pixies and spriggans in the mountains. But there is a type of fairy unique to Cornwall. For thousands of years, Cornwall was known for its mines, and the Cornish miners were known as the best in the world. Even in America in the 1800s, when mining began to boom, the Cornish were brought over as the world's experts. They mined gold in California, silver in Colorado, and copper and iron in Michigan. When they came to America, like any new culture, they brought their food and their stories. Those miners used to tell stories about a certain group of fairies who lived deep down in the mine shafts. They were called the Tommyknockers. Like all fairies, these underground fairies could be helpful and mischievous. It all depended on how they were treated by the miners. If the miners treated them with respect, the Tommyknockers would lead them to the best places to dig and knock on the walls to warn them of collapses. If they were treated badly, the Tommyknockers would steal or break the miners' tools, or even worse, knock on the mine walls until it caused a cave-in. The one thing the miners could do to make sure the Tommyknockers were happy was to feed them. That's where pasties come into the story. So what is a pasty, and how do you make them? A pasty is basically a big hot pocket made with beef, onion, and root vegetables like potatoes and sometimes carrots and rutabaga. So here are the ingredients. So now we're going to start making our pasties. We have our ingredients. We have our dough, potatoes, which were sliced in a food processor, beef, onion that was shredded with a cheese grater, and salt and pepper. And the dough we made with the flour and the shortening and added a little water to make a big ball. And now we're going to cut that up into pieces because that's about 5 pasties worth of dough right there. First thing we do is we'll roll it out into a flat piece. You don't want it too thin, but you can't have it too thick. Ingredients. First, it's the potatoes. Thin layer of potatoes. Then beef. Then the grated onion goes on top. Kind of smear it on. And now salt and pepper. So now the hard part is folding it over. So you want to fold that over like that, and then crimp, and kind of pinch and tuck it together. Your pasty. Now we throw them in the oven at 350 degrees for 1 hour.
1 hour later.
So this is what the Cornish miners would bring down to the mines to eat for lunch. And what do pasties have to do with the Tommyknockers? The miners would hold the pasty by the crusty edge, and when they were done, this strip of crust here is what the miners would toss down the shafts to the Tommyknockers to pay tribute and hopefully get their help deep down in the dangerous mines.